I asked my audience, what did you think of the Wyatt 6 reveal? And in this video, I'm going to give you guys my reaction to all of those responses, maybe answer some questions, clarify some things and whatnot. And with that being said, let's just jump right into it. One of the top responses from Novocaine30 was greatest entrance and debut in wrestling history, which, by the way, if you guys followed me on X at Ango PW, I've also relayed the same sentiment. Now, I understand the Wyatt 6 thing may not be for absolutely everybody, but I do like characters. I love storytelling like this. I was a very big fan of Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family and the Fiend and just everything that they've done with Uncle Howdy. This is the type of stuff that I love. I definitely agree with this. I know some people on X did not like my response to this. I know a lot of people on X have told me that this is not the best. But at the end of the day, it is subjective. If you guys agree with Novocaine, there's literally no problem with that. And if you guys don't agree with him, not a problem at all. This user says Nikki Cross looks so scary and so good. Guys, I think this is one of my favorite parts about this entire storyline, this entire group. Nikki Cross is somebody who literally has been in the WWE for such a damn long time, and the biggest problem is she's never really found her footing as a main roster star. I mean, for crying out loud, they made her Nikki ASH. Now, what's also really interesting about Nikki Cross in her specific situation here is the fact that Nikki Cross, for a very long time, was just lurking around backstage, stalking everybody, and more particular, she was stalking The Way and Dexter Lumis, which is also another member. So I love the fact that there's continuity. I love the fact that it all led to something, and definitely agree with this user right here. PS Martin 3644 says Nikki suits this so much more than Bliss. You know, it's really interesting because one of the big misconceptions here is that Wyatt 6 definitely needs a sixth member. And while I definitely understand that, we do have to remember that Bray Wyatt is no longer with us. So if they do add a sixth member, yeah, Alexa Bliss does make sense because of her history with Bray Wyatt. But if they don't add a sixth member, and that is to honor Bray Wyatt and his legacy, I'm very much content with this. Like I said, Nikki Cross came off as such a great person in this role. I just feel like Nikki Cross had absolutely executed everything that you would want from a Sister Abigail's first impression. Just such a cool thing. The mask, everything about her was just scary, and definitely agree with you, P.S. Martin. Paul Carpenter says effing legendary. Totally agree. Mike Hansen 3087 says it was an impactful debut. It will be interesting to see where they go with the storyline. And of course, I definitely agree with this, right? The debut, the reveal was excellent in my opinion, but the real thing that I care about here more so than anything is the follow-up. And I've been a big believer that, you know, I personally don't have any issue with supernatural stuff. That's something that I personally never minded. But this doesn't seem supernatural to me. This seems really based off reality. If you look at the QR codes, if you look at what they've done backstage, there wasn't anything that was supernatural about it. This is a cult. And who they have targeted backstage, it's a very interesting thing, right? So let's see where they go with it before we decide if it's a win or a loss. But ultimately, I do agree. It was a very impactful debut. It was a very good reveal. But I do care about the follow-up. You know, if all of these characters have this unwinnable trait, I think that could be somewhat problematic. But I think, you know, we'll see, right? Does Eric Rowan team up with Loomis and Gacy? Like, but which one is going to be more solo? What, you know, are they going for titles? You know, these are things that we'll find out, obviously, hopefully by next week's Raw. Love this by Danielle Cross, excuse me. Thank you, Bray. Thank you, Bo. We're here. Absolutely. None of this is possible without Bray Wyatt. Obviously, that's important to mention. You know, I feel like if Bray Wyatt was still around and he saw this, he would be very, very proud of this coming to life. Just overall, really cool. Jackal Havoc says, I look forward to see where the Wyatt 6 storyline goes. I hope WWE doesn't F it up. You know, and look, if this was the Vince McMahon regime, I would 1000% agree with that. I really would. You know, I don't think I could trust Vince McMahon with something like this, but I feel like with WWE and their long-term planning and everything like that, I just feel like they have a very specific plan here. I don't think WWE does things on accident. I think WWE is very laser focused on the quality of their storylines. I hope that WWE doesn't F it up. because right now they've been just doing a really good job, especially with the long-term stuff. The Las Vegas podcast says this quality would have never happened under Kevin Dunn. Totally agree with that. Dibio Ghosh, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but this person says this was a crazy scene out of a thriller series. This transcends wrestling. Definitely agree. Sandman says 6 over sickos. I think I understand what that is. I think that's a shot at AEW. Two totally different things. Yeah. With that being said, let's keep it going. Let's see. There's some more. Cinema, pure horror film cinema. Pure horror film, tongue twister. Cinema, pure horror movie level of cinema. Totally agree. This definitely felt like a page out of a cinematic horror movie. Let's keep going. Eligio Gonzalez. I don't know. Maybe I'm butchering that too. It's one of the best entrants of all of WWE. Agreed. Chris Devine says Alexa Bliss is a member as well. Only 5 of 6 last night. She wasn't in the debut, but she is coming. I think this is being assumptive. You never know. Obviously, it's a very big possibility that it could very well happen, but I do think we have to reserve ourselves from making the assumption that she's in the group. You know, obviously she's got a lot of things going on in her real life as well. That's why she's not on TV. So we'll see how that all falls through. Real Kratos says WWE blew this one out of the park. Incredible. Bray would be proud. Agreed. Sage says bloody sick. Best thing I've seen in years. Kaylin says it was amazing. TP says absolutely effing amazing. Bad Shot Gaming 647 says they should have added Eric and Ivar as well. Now, this is not something I actually agree with. And I think the reason why I don't agree with this specifically is because Eric and Ivar, well, one, they're both out with injury. But two, the Viking Raiders should not be involved with Bray Wyatt's family. Like, I don't think I really need to give it an explanation. In my opinion, I just think they're very good as a tag team. They need to bolster up the tag team division. It's not a move that necessarily makes sense to me. Barry Allen says it was cinema and they are going to wrestle. Obviously, great. Outlaw says great, 10 out of 10. Gino says love it. Jason Baker putting in the work last night. Gino is the guy that was responsible for creating the costumes and helping with the masks and the concepts for Bray Wyatt and his characters. Jason Baker was part of the Bray Wyatt documentary. This is a name that may not be the most popular, but this name deserves a lot of credit. I think a lot of people need to look at Jason Baker and Rob Fee as two of the people who have been super instrumental in making something like this work. And it's obviously a very big challenge. So yeah, shout out to Jason Baker. P344Y says, the greatest debut I've ever seen, hands down. I couldn't be more excited. WWE has an opportunity here to make them the most dangerous, violent faction in wrestling history. The Wyatt Six needs to torment the entire roster every single show, a la the NWO and Ministry of Darkness, but times a million. Don't F this up. Yeah, I think, chaos is clearly something that they're coming for. If you looked at their countdown, it made a lot of sense. A lot of crazy stuff, man. A lot of great responses. Square Circle Entertainer says uneffing believable. Clark Sam says Clark Sam 996 says it's rad as hell. This is a really interesting thing too. I want to point this out. I love this comment. Fun Times with Tom says, I may be crazy, but as soon as the camera goes past the door and enters the backstage area, I swear Alexa Bliss is peeking around the corner on the right-hand side. It looks like a female figure with long hair right under the blue light. One thing that's really cool about the Wyatt Six stuff, I didn't notice this, and I'm not saying it did or didn't happen, but when you see the Wyatt Six engaged in television, there's always little clues everywhere. So if you're not paying attention, definitely pay attention. Don says to be determined. I'm not sure what you're waiting on to determine whether that was a good reveal or not, but nonetheless, yeah, very, very interesting. Joe says, I hope it will not fail. Josh says, why has no one mentioned there's only 5? I obviously mentioned that earlier in the video. Extreme DD says, but it's going to be trash. Good, but it's going to be trash. Hopefully it won't. I don't know where you come up with that. Dennis says pointless. That should have been done before Bray Wyatt died. I think if you were watching the television product, you knew exactly where this is going to go. You have some people saying that it's going to be a flop. And I think the best way to end the episode is by telling you guys this. This was a reveal. The question I asked you was simply about the reveal. I'm not asking you about your opinion for future plans. I'm not asking you what do you think it's going to be. I'm asking you what you thought of the reveal. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, don't ever get it twisted. We don't know what's going to come after this, but I think the major consensus here is that everybody was truly impressed and truly happy. I'm happy about it. We'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think down below.